Sodor's Legend of the Lost Treasure. It was a sunny day on the island of Sodor. A perfect day, thought Thomas, for racing Birdie. Express coming through, he peeped as he sped past Birdie. The passengers inside his coach's Indian Clerbo bounced about like peas in a frying pan. You know, Sir Topham Hatt doesn't approve of you racing, Minnie said. Nonsense. I'll always be Sir Topham Hatt's #1 engine, puffed Thomas. My branch line is the most important part of the whole railway. On the other side of Sodor, a new branch line was being built. It's between Allsburg Harbor and Harwick. Marion, the railway steam shovel, traveled through Allsburg Junction on her way into the new branch line. Suddenly, Marion saw something she couldn't believe. Tiny little engines. A brake van named Toad laughed. Haven't you seen miniature engines before? He introduced Marion to Mike, Rex, and Bert. They were small engines who helped take heavy goods to the big engines. Marion was sure they were magical. I bet they make wishes come true, she thought. The next morning, Gordon was waiting for Thomas to bring him his coaches. But Thomas was still being cheeky. Very cheeky. He sped off with the coaches himself. He raced past Gordon, pulling the coaches faster and faster. Until he reached the red signal. Cinders and ashes, Thomas gasped as he came to a sudden stop. But the coaches didn't stop. They flew off the tracks. Sir Topham Hatt was not happy. When he heard what Thomas had done, he ordered Thomas to work on the new branch line. But sir, what about my branch line? Thomas peeped. Just then, a new engine named Ryan rolled up. I was invited to look after that branch line. Ah, Sir Topham Hatt said. My new tank engine is here. Thomas couldn't believe it. New tank engine? Thomas went to work on the new branch line, but he didn't pay attention to the danger signs. Suddenly, the earth crumbled away beneath him, and the tracks buckled and broke. Thomas crashed down into a giant underground cavern. Fizzling fireboxes. Where am I? He peeped. As Thomas looked around, he saw something amazing. There in front of him was an old pirate ship. After Emily told Thomas away for repairs, Rocky pulled the pirate ship up out of the cavern. How did anyone get that in there? Asked Sophie. Jack thought someone had built it there, like a ship in a bottle. Nonsense, puffed Donald. There must have been a way to sail in. Aye, agreed Douglas. Maybe the cave entrance collapsed. If there's a buried pirate ship, there must be buried treasure too, Marion peeped. She made a wish to the little magical engine, and she would dig up the treasure. Not far in Allsburg Bay, a mysterious sailor stood in his sailboat, holding his telescope. Stop bobbing about, he commanded his tiny boat. Sorry. The boat's replied, a mouthful of water. The sailor raised his telescope to watch the excitement at the new branch line and started making a plan. That night, Thomas went to the sheds to rest But Ryan, the new tank agent, was already there. He invited Thomas in, but Thomas seemed past. "I'd rather sleep on the siding by myself," he puffed grumpily. Thomas rolled into the darkness. As he settled down, he heard rustling and looked up. He looked up and saw a ghost him glowing in the dark. Thomas followed the eerie sailboat. The ghostly figure stood upon its deck. It glided past the danger signs, right up to the edge of a hole that led into a cavern. That's when Thomas realized it wasn't a ghost boat. He's got wheels. "Why are you sneaking about after me?" the man asked. Thomas introduced himself. "I discovered this cavern and the pirate ship, but Rocky's gotten all the credit." "Well, that makes us friends," the man replied. "My name is Sailor John." "And I'm Skiff," the boat said. "We're looking for the treasure." Sailor John tightened a rope around his waist, and Thomas lowered him into the cavern. "Sailor John gave me wheels after you found the ship," Skiff explained. "This way we can search on land." "I found it," Sailor John exclaimed from the hole. "The treasure?" Thomas and Skiff asked. "No," the sailor called back. "The map." The sun was rising as Thomas returned to the new branch line. Ryan called to him. "Thomas, did I see you with a sailboat?" "No," Thomas peeped. "You did not." "I guess it was a dream," Ryan said. Ryan went to the old hopper to fill it with coal. Thomas knew it was bad coal, but he didn't say anything. That afternoon, Ryan went to fetch some dynamite for Marion. When he returned, his funnel was spitting sparks because of the bad coal. The sparks sank in the trunks with the dynamite on fire. Thomas rushed to help. He buffered up to the flaming trunks. He to push them out of the yard. In the confusion, the signalman switched the trunks, sending Thomas toward the cavern. Thomas's brakes squealed as the trucks rolled. Into the giant cavern, the dynamite exploded with a mighty kaboom. Sir Topham Hatt was very upset. He wanted Thomas to stay in the siding for the rest of the day. The other agents returned to work. It was quiet. It was a quiet and uneventful afternoon, until Marion's shovel uncovered a treasure chest. Her wish had come true. But there was one person who wasn't pleased by the discovery: Sailor John. "I haven't searched all this time to see that treasure put in a museum," he growled at Thomas later that day. Skiff was confused. "But you always said we would give it to a museum." Thomas pushed Skiff and Sailor John aside and rushed away. Thomas returned to the new branch line as the sun was setting. Ryan rolled up next to him. "Thank you for helping me with the dynamite," Ryan peeped. "I'm sorry you got in trouble." "I should be the one saying sorry," Thomas replied. "I should have warned you about that bad coal." Ryan smiled and invited Thomas into the shed. "That's all right," Thomas peeped. I think I'll spend the night in Knapford, just in case." "In case of what?" Ryan asked, but Thomas was already gone. At Knapford Station, Thomas hid behind some sheds near Sir Topham Hatt's office, where the treasure had been locked away in the safe. He waited and waited, and eventually fell asleep. While Thomas slept, Sailor John rolled up to the platform. "I don't want any part of this," Skiff protested. But Sailor John didn't listen. He snuck into the office and stole the treasure. "Help!" Skiff cried. "Help!" Thomas woke and started to chase him. "You'll have to call me Pirate John from now on," the sailor yelled from his boat, with an evil laugh. Thomas raced as fast as he could. His whistle blew a warning to all nearby trains. "Express coming through!" Rex, Mike, and Birds rushed to help. They dumped ballast on the tracks. The escaping boat crashed through. Straight through. Ryan tried to slow them down, too, but it didn't work. "Thomas," Skiff shouted, "run me off the rails. I won't mind." Thomas sped up and bumped Skiff. The tiny boat flew off the rails and splashed into the harbor. Screech! Thomas tried to brake, but he couldn't stop. He leaped off the rails and came to rest in the surf. Skiff rocked back and forth, taking on water. "The treasure's too heavy," he cried. "Throw it overboard or we'll be sunk." "No," shouted Sailor John. "Sail on, I tell you." Skiff managed to hit Sailor John, and with his boom, Skiff managed to hit Sailor John with his boom and knock him into the water. In the commotion, the treasure tumbled over too. It sank beneath the waves. The police soon arrived and took Sailor John away. The divers rescued the treasure and delivered it to the Augsburg Museum, just in time for the completion of the new branch line. "My edges are much more important to me than any treasure," Sir Topham Hatt said. "And you, Thomas, are my number one." He lets Thomas roll through and break the ribbon, opening the line. Thomas was very happy to be such an important and really useful engine. He blew his whistle, and all the engines cheered. The end.